We have a super exciting guest today coming from all the way from New Jersey. It's my buddy Joe with Today's Business. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, Vinny, thanks for having me, man. Super excited to be on the show.
Right on. Yeah, for everyone listening, Joe and I, we've been friends since probably about fourth grade. We grew up playing football together. We went to junior high school together. We went to high school, and we stayed connected all throughout college. Joe has partnered with Today's Business, which is a digital marketing agency out of New York. They do amazing work all across the world, but I will definitely leave that up to you, Joe. Can you start us off and just give us a little background about what you do with Today's Business?
Yeah, no problem. So I am the manager of growth and partnerships at Today's Business. So basically what that means is I handle all business development for the company, from, lead generation to contract development to closing the leads and opportunities, and all the way through the onboarding process, as well as all the marketing for Today's Business. So handling that aspect of our company as well. And then in addition, I also manage all of our athlete and influencer relationships. So we work with tons of different professional athletes and influencers. We have a pretty large network. And then the last bit of my role is the campaign manager for our influencer marketing campaigns. So a lot of brands that we work with will come to us with, a substantial budget to do influencer marketing campaigns. I basically make sure that those campaigns are executed, and I pretty much handle all of the execution for those campaigns.
Wow, I mean, we haven't caught up in a while, and that's pretty impressive, man. It seems like you're wearing a lot of hats, and honestly, that's kind of how it is with even John and I. It's like we're kind of doing a lot of different jobs, but I think it kind of what keeps us going. Can you kind of shed some light on how you've been able to kind of manage all those different job roles that you're doing and expectations of the clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, like when I started, I was really just a sales rep. That was like kind of my like in with the business. And then as I just grew with the company, I just never said no to taking on more work. So like people say, "Hey, can you do this?" I pretty much always just, yeah, absolutely. If I can't do it, I'll figure out how, or I'll try, or we'll make it happen. So I kept taking on more things, and eventually my task list became super lengthy. And, actually just a couple of weeks ago, we finally like restructured my job title so that it really encompasses all the different things I do. But really when it comes down to it, is honestly just like getting things done. Is you got to be effective. You have to be focused. That's a big thing. A lot of people don't have is focus, especially people our age. It can be difficult. Sometimes you got to just, put your headphones in, block things out, and just go to work. And honestly, just like I write things down every day. So I write down like every single day what I need to do. Obviously we have like project management systems and all kinds of different online web software that helps with that. But like for me, that can all get very like congested. So I just write down like literally I need to get this thing done right now, close out all my 50 tabs, and it's like, all right, I'm doing this one thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I'm able to get it done. And then other than that is honestly, like I have like a 24/7 like work mentality. Like I wake up, I work from the second I wake up. I go like after I'm done around like 5:36, go like work out and go through my day to day, like, get dinner, all that type of stuff. And then like literally come back and what's my night shift, right? Like my 8 to midnight is like when I'm finishing out, like when no one's bothering me throughout the day with, more chats and all these different things. That's when I like focus and get stuff done and really the next day. So it's being prepared, it's being focused, and it's putting in the work. That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I agree with you, man. I feel like, being self-employed or working for a smaller company where like you are expected to do a lot. It's like, I don't know, a lot of people ask me, they're like, how do you do it all day? And it's like, well, to be honest, it's like I take small breaks throughout the day, but I do find myself working kind of like all day. But it's like I enjoy it. It keeps me going. I find balance. I go for walks. And I think it comes back to like enjoying what you do, and it just kind of just flies by. And it's just that grind mentality. It's like, there are people our age that, they want handouts. They want to see the success, but they don't want to put the work in. And we're both involved in kind of media, content creation and stuff like that, where it really doesn't stop and it's constantly evolving. So I really sit with like you on that, being always on, never really knowing when to stop, but also like having that healthy boundary. So, I mean, I love that. I know a lot of what you do involves relationships, client relations. Can you talk about how important it is to really like have a healthy relationship with your client, with your boss?
Yeah, I mean, relationships are super important. What I always say about relationships is like relationship will get you a seat at the table, right? Like get your foot in the door or whatever everyone always says. But like it's what you bring to that table, like that determines whether you get invited back to the next dinner, right? If you want to put it that way.
Love
Like
that.
what I mean by that is like important relationships are huge. Like that's how I got my foot in the door of today's business, but like that's not what kept me there, right? Like I got my clients because of a relationship, right? Like they introduced me. But then it's up to me to say like, well, what can I actually do for you? Right? Like going through and like auditing their website, auditing their search engine optimization, like their SEO, and saying like, oh, you're doing these things wrong. You should be doing it this way, right? That's part of it. Second part is executing, like getting it done. I said I'm going to do these things and I'm going to get them done in this time frame. Like, did I do that or not? And do I do that consistently? And that's the name of the game. That's how you build more relationships. When you do a good job for people and you do what you say you're going to do, people are going to introduce you to more people because they're like, hey, this is a good person. Like, did excellent work for me. And that's how you grow your business, especially, and that's how you grow your personal brand and get the next job and do those types of things. It all comes down to, building relationships with people and maintaining those relationships through good work and execution.
Yeah. No, we feel the same way at JV Studios. I mean, a lot of our stuff, people are like, how have you connected with these companies and brands? And it's getting an introduction through someone, but yeah, it comes down to the execution. There are a lot of people that, maybe talk a big game, but like when you can speak and also deliver, it's not like you said, you earned your seat at the table. John and I actually, we always say, right, when you get that option to be at a table, some people will come with a few things, right? Some people are going to come with a fork and a knife and they're just going to say, I'm ready to eat. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm going to come with a bottle of wine because I'm going to give back, right? This is what I can bring to the table, or I'm going to bring the steak. So instead of just sitting there and expecting people to feed you and give you drinks, it's like, well, what are you going to contribute? So I love that, and I know my brother's going to love when he hears that because he always does the dinner table analogy. What are you bringing to the table?
It's literally like, it's so great because there's so many concepts in life and business that are just the same thing, whether it's a relationship with your friends, your family, a significant other, or business. Like it's the same concept. Like how am I providing value in the relationship? And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, and I think it's brought you, a lot of success. I know like a few years ago, we actually were in Vegas the same time you and your bosses were. We met up, what was that, Caesar's Palace? It was like a scene out of a movie. We were hanging out in this suite, but I remember you guys, I think, were down there for something with MMA. I'm forgetting the guy's name, but like you guys have touched on some pretty big clients like MMA, Butcher Box, Chomps, bodybuilding. How would you say, how have you been able to get those types of clients? I mean, those are some big names.
Yeah. So, I mean, the time you were thinking of was we were actually meeting with UFC. We're literally meeting with
UFC,
Dana
right?
White.
Sorry.
It was with Dana White. He is the the founder of the UFC, CEO. And honestly, that was through my boss, Tom. Tom Otiano is my boss. He's the CEO of today's business. He's my business partner. And he just has an unbelievable network just because his family has an Italian restaurant in New Jersey called Calabria's that's like very well known. And there's a lot of like it's in a very affluent area. So a lot of like pretty significant people come through there, and they've had it for the past 40 years. So he's built a great network that way. But then he also spent a little bit of time in the NFL, like honestly training camp, and I had a cup of coffee, he says, but like honestly took that and leveraged that to like the max capacity, that small amount of time in the NFL. And one of his best friends, who's also a business partner of mine, is Chris Hogan, who played with the New England Patriots, won 2 Super Bowls there, and recently announced he's actually going to be joining the Premier Lacrosse League. So he's going to be one of the first ever dual sport athletes. But how we met Dana White was a huge Patriots fan. So my boss met him at the Wheels Up party at the Super Bowl in Houston. And ever since then, like Tom would just hit him up all the time. And they had a friendly relationship, and Dana would get back to him all the time. And Dana White got us the opportunity to meet with UFC, and we pitched him on affiliate marketing services for their UFC Fight Pass. So that was like one of the best stories and like experiences I've ever had. But in terms of just like getting in touch with big names in the industry, I mean, there's like that type of thing where it goes through your network. And then the other, majority of it is just from kind of, again, goes back to those relationships and referrals. Most of the big clients we work with have come through a referral, just like, hey, these people do a good job. I know you need this help. And, we built our way up. Like when we started the company 10 years ago, we were working with mom and pop restaurants, right? We were doing Twitter posts and Facebook posts for small businesses. And then people just like wanted us to do more. They want us to do more. And as we grew, like we started taking on bigger accounts. We started working with, more higher ups within the organization and building those relationships, and then getting those referrals to people at Butcher Box and Chomps and FOCO. I mean, that's a good portion of it. And then there's also a bit of outreach we do. I've been using LinkedIn a lot, and Instagram. Nice. Honestly, you literally it's so easy. You can just go on LinkedIn, find the person who like is the CEO, the owner, whoever it might be that you want to get in touch with, go find them on Instagram and shoot your shot. As long as you have a compelling message, because they get a lot of messages, I'm sure. I do too. Like if you don't have something compelling, you're just going to get, tossed aside, I guess.
Right. No, dude. I mean, it seems like consistency, but also like having a goal in mind. So it's not just like, hey, how you doing? I'm a huge fan. It's like you're reaching out to these people with a mission, right? And you're following up, and you're staying consistent. And you're not really taking no for an answer, but you're also, respecting their boundaries. They're human. They don't want to just be bombarded, and they get bombarded. But I really love that. And I feel like even since growing up, you've always been like super on it, consistent, and like just always had a vision of like, I want this, I'm going to get it. And now we're here. And I remember like early in the days, like going back to like how you guys have done mom and pop, like JV started on the same thing. Like we were doing $300 video commercials for a little sub shop or this. And like we look back at it, and it's just so much growth that's happened. And I remember always saying, I want to work with commercial clients one day, and I want to do this. And then like you kind of blink and years go by, and it's like now like almost every one of your clients is like this higher known company. And now it's like, how can we keep evolving and go to bigger and also retain those clients? So, I mean, I think it's very relative and kind of the industry. Like we're like in that same industry, and you're kind of with this small company kind of growing with it. And so you're able to really see it from the ground up and see where you started, and like really appreciate the growth and be able to reflect and be like, we started there, now we're here, where do we want to go?
Absolutely. No, I mean, working in a small business, like it has its pros and cons, but the one thing you definitely get is a learning experience, opportunity to like honestly get your feet wet however you want, like wherever you want. Like they're never going to say no to like trying a new thing or wanting to help in some area. And I mean, I respect the heck out of everything you guys do and have done. Like it's not easy. I mean, it's everyone thinks it's easy. Like it's not. It's very difficult. So I mean, your guys' growth has been awesome to watch, honestly.
Right on, man. Yeah, and I know we've been going back and forth, and I feel like we're still at that point where we will connect on some big project. I know we kind of went back and forth, and it'll happen with time. I think it's just kind of vetting out the right clients. But I want to I've been seeing a lot of you like resharing today's business stuff, and a lot of it is like influencer marketing. Can you kind of talk about how you've seen influencer marketing change over the time with social media, and like what's working right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite things about like what I do is the influencer marketing. It's definitely the most like appealing and exciting thing that people like talking about. I mean, everybody wants to be an influencer these days. Like everyone thinks it's just like, oh, I become an influencer and now I'm going to start making a ton of money for posting. But like, it doesn't really work like that. Like you have to have some talent. Like you have to have some skills. It's not like you just take pictures and post, or else everyone would do it,
Right.
Like you have to have either some sort of story, a very engaged audience. You have to be consistent. Like it is kind of a part-time job. And so for some people it is a full-time job being an influencer. In terms of like, how we go about it. So obviously we have like our own network of influencers and athletes. It's a lot of athletes is a big part of our network that we've kind of built up over the years. We used to, like, on a one-to-one basis, literally represent like pro athletes and be like their management company for all of their social media, their email marketing, if they're doing that, like personal management stuff, website. And we'd handle all their endorsement and sponsorship deals and just take a percentage. We only do that now for like a handful of guys because it just became too overwhelming. Now we just have a network of athletes and influencers that we can really tap into at any time. We work with pretty much every big agency in the country. And it works well for us this way. It works a lot better because we're not like, really trying to push any particular influencer or athlete. We take more of a brand focused approach. So we're looking for we're looking to produce the best possible results for the brand. We're very ROI driven. So we're very, transactional or like revenue based, like goals. It's not so much awareness based goals. Obviously, like awareness is typically a lot easier on influencer campaigns, but we really try to get down to like what type of like actual growth are we seeing? What type of actual results are we seeing from these influencers? And the one thing I'll always say is, especially with athlete marketing, is one thing I keep seeing a lot is like creatives are the new athletes. It's this thing that I keep seeing my friend Jack White post all the time. And like, I couldn't support that like anymore. Like what you guys do and what just people that are creative in general do is like so much more like compelling and so much more actually like helpful in an influencer campaign than just having some like athlete post. Like I've done athlete posts thousands of times. They don't drive any sales. Like they don't actually get the goals that I need for my clients. So I always if I'm looking for influencers, I want people that have a story. I want people that have their own videographer or photographer, like that are putting out really good quality content. That's what I care about. I don't care about how many followers you have. That's not important to me. It's how engaged are your followers and what type of like content are you going to put out? That's really what matters when it comes to influencer marketing. At least nowadays, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I think you probably have so many people that are trying to hop on that bandwagon of like, pay me and I'll post this, but like it does come down to a formula of like, if you're representing, let's just say Butcher Box, because I've seen you guys lately posted so much about it. And I've seen some really big names attached to it. And it's like, if you can find those people that do have a team that is able to kind of package a piece of content for them to share that looks better than just the mobile phone or something, right? You're going to probably put more energy into that person as far as being an influencer. And I think it like where we kind of tie in is like, as a video company or people that do photo, it's like connecting with a company like Today's Business is like, it's a win-win on both ends. It's like we are able to help package content for your influencers, content for you guys to help your client out. And I love the whole, the awareness, it's cool and followers. But at the end of the day, if your client's making money because of something you're doing, they're going to keep you on. Like ROI is huge. So it's like, if you're bringing them in dollars they never saw, that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Or at least like at the minimum, if you can't get like a direct return on ad spend, then what we look for is like new customer acquisition, right? Like how many new customers am I actually bringing to you through these influencers? Because, it can be difficult to show direct return on ad spend with the influencer campaigns, but like, brands spend a lot of money on Facebook ads and Google ads to acquire new customers. And what's nice about what we do is we are a full service agency. So we do a lot of Google advertising. We do a lot of Facebook ads. We do a lot of remarketing, email marketing. We understand like the attribution side of things. So like, like a lot of people will run Google ads, right? And they'll like look at it as a whole, like, oh, I did a 3X return on ad spend. And it's like, well, go into your campaigns and take a deeper look, because the way that your agency is reporting this to you is actually, it's not an ideal way to report it, because they'll combine all the campaigns together. But the way Google ads work is you have branded campaigns and you have non-branded campaigns. And a lot of times they merge those two worlds together. But if you're paying money for a Google pay-per-click keyword that's your own brand name, you shouldn't be counting that the same as a prospecting ad. Same with Facebook ads. You can't count a remarketing ad the same way you would count an ad that is only to new customers. And you need to break those two down and understand how much does it cost me to acquire a new customer, right? What is my CPA? What is my customer acquisition cost? Once you know that, then you could kind of work backwards and say, like, you could try new channels. And that's where the influencer part comes in is, hey, like, I might not have seen the same return on ad spend as your branded campaigns, but you're not going to get that. Like, a lot of people on your Google ads and your Facebook ads, you don't see a direct return on your branded or on your prospecting campaigns, which is designed to go out to new users.
Gotcha.
So yeah, a lot of you need to just know the attribution, know the analytics. That's the important thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. And what's cool is a few weeks ago, I actually had another gentleman on the podcast that he's really heavy into marketing. And I feel like you guys both literally just like touched on the same, like they do a lot of Google, but they're also like there's so many different avenues and types of ads and type of goals in mind for the ads. So I think really it comes down to is like connecting with an agency like you guys that you could actually like educate your client on like, this is what you should be doing and why, and not just because you want all these views and stuff. And so have you had any like challenges you can share with maybe educating a client on something, or just something that you guys have tried and have learned from?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always a challenge trying to explain like literally what I just explained to clients, like attribution, and like explaining to them how Facebook ads work. I mean, some people, especially like in healthcare, right? I'm talking to people that are, probably 50 plus, barely know how to use their phone, let alone like understand Facebook and Google at a high level. And then trying to explain to them like, no, like you are bidding on your own brand name and your agency is telling you that you're getting return on ad spend, and you are theoretically, but like you should be ranking for that keyword anyway. Like you need to look at new customer growth, new acquisition channels. And that can be difficult at times. How we always overcome it is honestly just trying to break things down and make it super simple. We do a lot of presentations. So like a lot of visual elements, like showing people what it looks like. We have a really good creative team in-house. That's good at like creating GIFs and certain things like that, can like show a customer or show one of our clients like what their current customer journey looks like on their website, just through like a GIF or a clip or a short clip. That's super helpful. We also just started using Cloud App. Not sure if you've ever heard of them.
No.
It is so helpful. It's literally like it records your screen. And you can do like really quick clips. Like I could walk you through something in like 30 seconds or a minute and record my screen. And then it just downloads a little link. And I just send that link off to people, and it's super easy.
Just plug and play.
Yeah. Because if you try to explain things to people over the phone, it can be difficult. But like literally you go into Cloud App and I pull open their website or I pull open their ad campaign and just walk them through exactly what I'm looking at and why I'm looking at it. It makes it so much easier.
Wow. I mean, no, I think nowadays visuals are everything. Even if it is a screen play of exactly what to do, people just kind of want to see it. And I think kind of going back, like when we get clients that, will send us over a treatment for a project, John and I will put together pretty much a deck that pretty much shows like, here's the shooting style we want to do it. Here's the location kind of that we're going for. Obviously, here's all the breakdown, but it's very visual. And I feel like it's helped us because clients, I mean, it's like, people don't want to read so much nowadays. It's like if they could see it, get an idea, obviously they're going to read it if they're going to hire you and be paying good money. But like if you can catch their eye with more of a visual, especially for, people that are not so tech savvy, right? It's only going to help. So, but in terms of like, so that's kind of more on the client side. I'd love to hear people that are maybe looking to do what you do, like with Today's Business, work for an agency on digital marketing, is there any advice you could give to someone that's maybe just getting out of college or just not even college, just looking to get into the field you're in?
Yeah. I mean, for kids in college, I always say like do internships. Like you have to do an internship. Like you just literally have to get your feet wet and just do things. Like honestly, even for like my first few years at Today's Business, I never like I learned like I focused a lot of my efforts learning sales, right? All my reading, all of my like efforts was like, how do I sell? Like what are the psychological elements to like put together a successful sales formula? And now over the past like, I don't know, 2 years now, I recently got involved with a couple of e-commerce companies where I have like equity stake in them and like a profit sharing. And that was one of the like fastest, like the fastest learning curve like ever for me and like growth experiences is just like getting involved in these companies. It gave me like incentive to actually like take the next step, like actually go run a Facebook ads campaign, go set up Google Analytics, get into Shopify, help build out landing pages in Shopify, start writing blogs. Like I literally just started doing it. And that's the best way to learn. Like you have to just do it and try. Like one of the best things I learned like in college was I took a writing class my freshman year, like pre-rec, and some of those classes are you learn the most in, honestly, because like that was how I learned how to write. The teacher told me one thing, and it was like the one thing that's always stuck with me is like, don't overthink it. Just literally put the words on paper. She's like, I want you to just go and like get 2 words of paper. I don't care if like what it says, like just whatever comes to your mind, just get it all out there and then go back and read again and then like revise from there. And that's always been super helpful for me when it comes to writing, which is obviously difficult for a lot of people, but I feel like I've gotten much better at it over the years. Like you literally just have to get your thoughts onto paper. And that's what I always recommend, like with anything, whether it's you want to get into today, you want to start your digital marketing agency, well, build a business plan. Like just go write it. Just start writing what you want to do. And then think about it and then come back, like go do some research. Oh, what should a business plan look like? Like you can literally Google search and find anything you want to learn these days. Like 90% of the things that I do, it's like, oh, how do I do this? Google, like just Google search it and you'll figure it out. There's a YouTube video out there or something. And that's like one thing our chief digital officer always says too, is like, don't ask me anything until you've Google searched it first. Yeah. Like he's been doing it for 10 years. He's like literally had so many people ask me questions every day for the past 10 years. Like if you didn't Google search it before like asking him, like he's not going to be happy. Yeah, I mean, because that's what he tells you. He's like, listen, I'm going to do the same thing. He's like, I'm going to Google search it.
Yeah, no, I think that's super valid in like big businesses. You have employees. It's like the boss spends more time answering people's questions than getting the work done. So I think kind of what I took from what you said is like, don't be afraid, to fail, get into what you're trying to do, like just start. You got to start. And I agree with the whole writing thing. Like I handle a lot of the JV blog stuff, and I don't think I'm just like super well-rounded grammar writer, like there's times I'm just like, like how does that sound? And I sit with it, but it's like it's that initial like I have this idea for a blog, let me just dump it all down, and then maybe I'll look back at it and refine it, get some feedback. But like at the end of the day, it's really just picking up the pen or in today's world, typing on the computer and just starting. So no, I love that, man.
Going off of that, one thing I always do too is like when I have an idea that's hot, like it could be any time of the day. Like I literally get it on paper right away. Like whether it's in my phone notes or I like literally get out of bed to go on my computer, like I got to write this down right now. Like you got to do it while it's hot. Like always go with the energy. Like I don't care what it is. Like if I'm in a good energy, like I take advantage of it. I'm like, I'm going to get stuff done like right now.
I mean, you have to, or else guess what? You'll blink and that idea, someone's got it already, right? Or someone's already 2 steps ahead of you, which what happens, if you sit on something, it's like chances are something's already beat you to it. So
yeah, there's just so many things going on, especially, right now. It's just like, if you don't do it, if you don't write it down, like you're just going to totally forget about it. And, it might not come back to you for a month or 2 or whatever.
Right. Well, hey dude, I really appreciate you being on the show, man. I personally, learned a lot more than, I thought, only because I feel like you've got so embedded with Today's Business, and I feel like you're such a leg for them, and like you've done so much, and I've watched you grow over the years, and so I really appreciate you sharing, and for those listening, hope you can get something out of it. But before we kind of sign off, how can people reach you if they wanted to reach out to you or learn more about what you do?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are probably the two platforms I use the most. So it's just Joe Sanfilippo on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, I think it's just Joe_Sanfilippo. So you could hit me up on there. Yeah, if you're looking for, we're actually hiring at Today's Business. So tbsmo.com for anybody that's looking for a job.
Amazing. Well, hey, thank you for being on the podcast. Really appreciate reconnecting with you. I know it's been some time, and for those listening, I hope you gained something with Joe today with Today's Business. If you're looking for a job in digital marketing, hit Joe up. He's got your back, and we look forward to the next episode. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you coming out, man.